For our spaceship, when you enter the game, you come in via the teleporter, kind of like old school Star Trek. So we have a piece there with a lighting effect coming off it, which is a rebuild of this guy here. This is a water ripple effect thing that you would get from a lighting store, and it doesn't really work like we want it to. So we're cutting it apart and making it do our evil bidding.
I don't think it works like anybody wants it to. The people who made it don't even know how it works, which is why we're taking it apart.
So you can get it to do a red, a green, a blue, or a white, or you can get it to do a really obnoxious strobe color sequence, but nothing in between. So we want a specific combination of the white, the red, and the green to get our kind of orangey.
You just said gred.
Gred? Gred's a color now, just
Blorange.
like blorange.
So what we have here, this is the inside of, well, the casing you just saw. This is a power supply that came off. This was the actual control circuit here. You can see that it has these 4 buttons on it and a display. That was absolutely useless. So what we're effectively going to do is we're going to take this power supply and rig up our own circuit board to connect to this guy. Now this guy, you can see this large lens right here, and that's actually hovering over an RGB LED inside of here. It's 12 volt and it's pretty bright, but that's what we're trying to do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take actually some variable resistors, hook them up to each of the 4 lights on this LED, because by the way, this LED isn't just RG and B, it also has a white on there. So I'm going to hook up these variable resistors to each one such that we can dial in which color we want and the brightness that we want it at. And well, if science works, then this will work. So we'll see how it all, well, works. So what we have here, this is a standard polarized connector. You can see that I've got a red and a black representing your positive and negative DC. And if you're familiar with these connectors, they're only supposed to go in to your adapter one way. Except the problem is this little adapter right here is not actually mated for this piece. They just took 2 random things, said, oh yeah, that works, and then made a thing out of it. So I can't really use this adapter. So what I'm going to do is use this little 2-pin DuPont connector. I don't know if y'all are very familiar with DuPont connectors, but they're that right there. It's just a very simple connector.
So what are we looking at?
Like that. Mark, I was telling Mark that in order to dial in the individual RGB LEDs in this setup, we're going to want to use these variable resistors. He wanted me to try to rig up something where all the LEDs were just straight on. So I just put this simple circuit together with some resistors, hooked it up to the power, and we're using the standard power supply that came with the device.
Which is a 12 volt DC coming off of that, which is the same thing that was running the LEDs before we started Frankensteining it.
All of that, yes. So I've loosely assembled the part over here. So we're just going to start putting some of this back together, shine it at the wall, and see if we even like it.
Okay.
And so let's go ahead and do that.
And if we do, you're gonna, this solder list, you're gonna take that apart and put it in one of our actual solder prototype boards?
I've got a board right here, just for that.
Okay.
And I have sized it to fit exactly one of these holes. Yes.
It shouldn't be getting jarred too much, so that shouldn't be a problem.
We'll see what happens. Probably crash and kill us all.
Well, if that happens, you let me know.
So, let's put it back together. Now it's time to actually plug it in, point it at a wall, and I don't know, hope it all works, hope it looks all right. Well, it hasn't blown up yet, so I mean, that's all right.
That's a thing.
Hey, look, inside bits. They're all shiny and, I don't know, not catching on fire.
a quick note about what's happening here. This projector is just basically focusing the LED light. There is a rotating disc that's glass, and it's a slowly motorized reduction gear motor that is going through. This is cracked glass or cracked ice, I believe, polycarbonate. This is a diffuser that you get from for fluorescent lights. And so there's a static piece of this about this big, and then on the other side of that is a larger rotating disc, so that only the edge of the disc is touching. So you'll have a static aperture of light shining through, and then the perimeter of a wheel passing over that. And those two things, combined with the fact that the LEDs are all off-center and shining through a fisheye lens, makes a whole bunch of different colors in here, which gives us this really cool lighting effect. Yeah, that is not as bright as it normally is. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Part of that may be focus. Have you already focused it?
No, I haven't done anything with focus it. Even if it wasn't focused, it would still be very bright. The focus isn't going to change the brightness of it.
So what we have right now with the resistors in place is 12 volts going to each LED. Do we actually know that we have that output going to power each LED?
I have not shot these wires. I can do it right now if you want me to. I would have to take this out. If you like the color, that's just all of them tuned into.
I think that's fine.
Equal brightness.
I am not the electronics guy, and so I was very vague and particular about what kind of testing protocol we should use to try and figure out what this unlabeled mystery LED's power requirements were. Resistance, everything else. And Preston actually knows that stuff and I don't. Anyway, even as careful as we were, we blowed it up. So we took the opportunity to buy a new one, and Preston is designing an entirely new thing.
We have an entirely new LED here, and this is the plate that it's going to go on, and I am just making a breakout board for everything to plug into. Proper resistors to mesh with the 12 volts coming in to make sure that each of the individual LEDs inside of this RGBW, well, they don't blow up. It's nice having a known to work with, known max current that can go through each of these LEDs, known voltages for each of the LEDs. It makes running the calculations a lot easier. So that's what we're doing. I've got my resistors already set up on this. Next thing I'm going to do is put a couple headers on here to plug our two wires into, and then a header to plug our power into, and
stuff.
Well, that'll be all.
And it'll be better and brighter and more spacey and more colors and stuff and things, and it'll go and objects will actually disappear from one place and appear somewhere else, which is really cool coming out of an LED.
I didn't put the resistor in for that. All you get is on.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So objects will only disappear.
You can turn it on and off real quick and make it blink.
So we've got the new board all made and stuff, and we put it inside the device and sealed it all up beautifully. And then Matt said, well, if you're going to put green LEDs inside the device, then we ought to power, like split power off and run around. So we ended up having to take the whole thing apart again and Preston split power off.
I mean, that really just sums it up. I took the board, and where one power came off the board, I made a little dongle that had two things coming off the board. And
so we have green LEDs on the inside that you can see those through all the cooling slits. And our light emitter is beautiful, and this is what it looks like on the aluminum plate, which will be the receiver plate for our light. So that's it, and we're doing another electronical puzzle that Preston's going to be making a video for that, and we'll show you that really soon.
hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully that works.
Switches
Yay, switches.
of the future.
Hey guys, if you like these videos, share them with a friend. Post them on your Facebook page and stuff like that, and we're doing them for free, so help us out.
Tell us what you think. That's a really big thing.
Yeah, we love comments, guys. Your comments are fantastic. We haven't had any negative ones yet, so if somebody could start a trend there, that'd be fantastic.
Just make a whole long line. Pick a video and just troll it.
Okay, bye.